We are very grateful to be working once again with the MIAM Museum to be able to hold this joint exhibition for 21st century realism in this beautiful institution in Barcelona, Spain. We live in a time when the art all around us accustoms men to and insinuates into their souls the most erroneous and degrading ideas imaginable about themselves and their world. A humane society can hardly be expected to grow out of such an adverse cultural environment. As a result, realism is one of the fastest growing movements in the 21st century. You are shaping our world into a better place, where once again, freedom of thought and real communication can be disseminated through art. With your diligence and effort, a picture is once again worth 1,000 words versus needing 1,000 words to understand it. So on behalf of the Art Renewal Center and of my father and art chairman, Fred Ross, and as an art lover and historian myself, I thank you for pushing against the current and rescuing our heritage from those who have wished to destroy it.
Daniel Graves began the Florence Academy of Art over 25 years ago. It was one of the only realities teaching the techniques of traditional painting. And for a long time, we were alone. So ARC was the founder of a virtual community of artists that contributed to the growth of this movement in an exponential way. The other thing artists need is a place to display their work. And I don't think there's anywhere else in the world like MIM, thanks to Jose Manuel Infiesta, that has succeeded in grouping all of us together in a physical place. So now we have two marvelous realities, a virtual one and a physical one. I think we should be we're all very blessed to have Cara and Jose Manuel in our community, in our world. So I want to thank both of you for what you've done for our movement.
Congratulations on receiving your 2 awards, Best in Show. And now I'm going to have Tanaya say a few words.
I've been a long-time admirer of many of the pieces, the artists and teachers who are showing here. So it's just really extraordinary to be amongst that, included in that. The painting Semias was, it took from start to finish about almost a year to complete. And the thing about that is that the actual painting process of it only took maybe a few months, but it was a long distillation of ideas, scratching and clawing my way through, trying to figure out how to get to the essentials of the idea. Notoriously, Michelangelo supposedly said, you have to look at the granite and envision the form within that and reveal it. And while I can appreciate that, that's definitely not how it goes for me. I have something in mind, and the moment that, while it's still an idea and, floating in my mind, etc., it's great, it has all this freedom, but then when I try and materialize it, it hits all that resistance. It's like trying to enter through the atmosphere, and it just either burns up or, I'm just scratching and clawing my whole way through. And so, it's the actually manifesting a vision. It's not really that romantic. It's a lot of kind of just hard work, and that's part of the reason why I have so much admiration for what the ARC has put together to take a vision like what you guys thought of, Fred and you and everybody else, and to actually follow through and make this reality is just absolutely incredible. And it's been pivotal. ARC has been pivotal for me for a long time. And I was looking for an atelier back in 2002, back when there was only a handful of them. That's how I found my education, was through the ARC all the way back then. So, and you know, come full circle in a way to show here and be part of this, you know, not just on its own merits, but also to have, if I could rewind the clock and go back to that time when I was looking for an atelier and trying to make the plunge. I've been working in the video games industry, and I left that job, and I wanted to pursue this path, and that was one of the critical means in which allowed me to make that jump. And so I just want to send on my appreciation for that, not just for this award, but the platform that ARC has created. So thank you very much.
Now we would like to invite individually each of the award winners to come up and receive your award certificates. So Matthias Bader, third place sculpture category. Kahu, two separate honorable mentions in the sculpture category. Emmanuel Descanio, Ray's Contemporary Galleries Award, honorable mention in the still life category and an honorable mention in the drawing category. Sylvia Juez Linares, honorable mention sculpture category. Aurelio Rodriguez Lopez, Chairman's Choice Award and an honorable mention in the still life category. Nick Ankis Skusek, honorable mention still life category. Now I would like to turn the microphone over to Jose and Fiesta to say a few closing words.
First of all, greetings to all you from the city of Barcelona. Some of you have come from very far countries, And we, Catalan, we are proud that this evening we organize is enough interesting for you. MEAM is the house of the artists coming from different countries. The house of anyone who makes art. The house for anyone who likes art. The house to anyone who lives for art. And this is a special moment because in MEAM you can find the two big exhibitions of the two big organizations, Art Renewal Center and the Foundation of Arts and Artists, the American and the European one. Our building, who is your building. Thank you. Estamos aquí para celebrar la entrega de premios de la 9ª convocatoria del concurso de Figurativas 2017. Tengo aquí a dos miembros del jurado, os los presento. Daniel Graves, pintor, director y fundador de la Florence Academy of Art. Hace 25 años, sin ninguna duda, el generador y el primer representante de toda la corriente de figuración, yo creo que en Europa y en el mundo. Y Tomás Paredes, que es el presidente de la Asociación de Críticos de España. Si os tengo que decir la sensación que yo tengo en este momento, mi sensación es de orgullo. Orgullo por el camino que hemos hecho, por lo que estamos consiguiendo y por la aceptación que estamos teniendo con toda nuestra iniciativa no solo en nuestro país, sino básicamente en todo el mundo. El nuevo arte, si quiere influir en la sociedad, si quiere que la sociedad realmente valga la pena, y solo valdrá la pena si el arte es protagonista, ha de hablar de sensibilidad, ha de hablar de creatividad y ha de hablar de genialidad. El concurso de figurativas no es un concurso más. El concurso de figurativas dura siempre, dura todo el año, porque es una excusa para reunirnos, para vernos, para comunicarnos, para aglutinarnos, para ir creciendo, para comunicarnos entre nosotros. A mí me sorprende cómo tantos artistas que tendrían que ser competidores, jamás hay un sentido de la competencia, sino de la amistad, cómo unos a otros se apoyan, cómo unos a otros se ayudan, cómo unos a otros se animan, cómo uno cuelga un cuadro en Facebook y son felicitaciones de los otros, porque hay un espíritu de cuerpo de que estamos haciendo una lucha o una presentación ante la sociedad de algo que vale mucho la pena. Y esa conciencia de los artistas, que eran seres solitarios y que ahora se sienten agrupados y acompañados, es lo que realmente me llena de orgullo y me da muchísima satisfacción. En este año, el concurso de figurativas para mí ha sido espectacular. Y en el tema de la escultura, que a mí me gusta especialmente, me siento muy orgulloso de la calidad presentada. Tenéis que pensar que entre las dos plantas, entre el Art Renewal Center Salon y figurativas, aquí tenéis unas 180 piezas entre pintura y escultura. Esas 180 piezas han sido elegidas entre más de 5.000 obras presentadas de 90 países. A ver, que me digan qué organización o qué competición consigue ese volumen de artistas que están participando cada año. Ahora hablaba con muchos artistas que me decían: claro, es que yo sé que no ganaré, no me voy a presentar. Y yo le contestaba lo que os digo cada año: a mí no me importa quién gana. A mí lo que me importa es que conseguimos un nivel general, una exposición que es indiscutible, que es irrebatible, y que la gente que vea esto tiene que decir: señores, es que al lado de esto no hay feria, ni salón, ni historia que valga al lado de la categoría presentada aquí. Y eso es mérito de todos nosotros. Tengo que deciros que si el museo existe, si el MEAM existe, si la fundación existe, es gracias a los artistas. Nosotros podemos mover lo que podamos, pero son los artistas los que se entregan, los que nos envían la obra, los que están encantados de participar y de estar. Y realmente ahí es donde yo me siento orgulloso y donde realmente quiero agradecer a todos los que están. Y os pido un aplauso no para mí, sino para los 200 artistas que hay aquí ahora en este momento.
Vamos a empezar con la entrega de diplomas a las menciones de honor en pintura. La primera mención de honor es para Salvador Antúnez del Cerro por su obra Cinquito, Manuela del Cerro. Mención de honor en pintura para Camille Corri por Half-Light. Martín, la obra La Sobremesa. Para Richard Harper por su obra Karen Witcher. David Geishenberg por su obra Robert Wong.
Without saying, it's an honor.
Es un honor.
And it's to be part of the meme, I mean, which is an incredible collection of contemporary living artists.
Y formar parte del MEAM, que es como una colección de artistas vivos.
Great,
es
you know.
Más allá de lo fantástico.
And I love that it's this piece that won.
Y le encanta que sea esta pieza la que haya ganado.
This piece, you either love it or you hate it.
O te gusta o la odias.
And I'm glad they love it. Because it's, I love it.
A él le encanta.
Thank you.
Muchas gracias. Mención de honor en escultura para Pedro Quesada Sierra por su obra Figura Frontal. Udal de Juana Gorriz por la obra The Awakening of Conscience.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Goodbye.
I think I'd like to take a moment before I get started with what I have to say, just to thank the two people that have actually brought this whole thing together.
Quiero
They
agradecer antes de
are
empezar a toda la gente, a
so
las dos
instrumental
personas que estuvieron
in helping us do what we want to do by providing us a space, providing an opportunity
que son las personas que han dado una oportunidad y que han aportado un espacio
to show our work and connect to each other with each other.
para enseñar nuestro trabajo y poder conectarnos los unos
And as
con
Susan
los
was
otros.
saying before, we were isolated. We were all kind of isolated. We stay in our studios. We don't really have the ability to connect.
Antes
And
íbamos en solitario, cada uno por
these
su
two
lado y no había la opción de
these two
conectar.
people, these two organizations
Y estas
are
dos
helping us
organizaciones
do almost the impossible, and
Nos
they're
están ayudando a hacer casi lo imposible.
making huge inroads. And I just want everybody to maybe recognize them now with a round of applause. Thank you so much. It takes people with this kind of passion to make this happen.
Necesitamos gente con esta pasión para que pasen estas cosas.
If you were to think about doing it yourselves in your own lives, how much would it take? It takes sacrifice.
Si intentas hacerlo por tu parte, siempre hay una gran parte de sacrificio.
And you know, I don't think we can thank these people enough. So
No creo que
again,
podamos
thank you so
agradecer
much.
más a esta gente.
Now I'd like to congratulate all the artists that showed in both exhibitions. Everybody who is put their energies into creating something
A todos los
that they
participantes que han puesto su energía en crear alguna cosa.
care about
Que
and they
les
think
importa.
is their idea of art. All of you have contributed to what we're all trying to do, and that is exactly what. We're trying to make meaningful, beautiful paintings. And the tools to do that are really difficult to achieve. And
Gracias a
so
todos los que habéis contribuido en conseguir esto, porque es muy complicado.
those of us who are painters, we understand the sacrifice it takes, the energy, the determination, And a lot of the things that have worked against us for many years, we just forge ahead and continue to create works of art that we believe in.
El artista tiene
I've really had an amazing year to be able to be a judge in both exhibitions
ha tenido un año
and
fantástico pudiendo ser juez en los dos concursos
to see so many young people's efforts,
y ver
so
el
many
esfuerzo de tanta
amazing
gente joven
works of art. And
y fantásticas
the
obras.
range of subjects, of materials, of techniques,
El abanico de técnicas, de materiales,
it's really impressive.
muy impresionante.
And I know for years, a group of us in Florence were struggling to learn how to paint.
Y hace años había un grupo en la Florence Art
Some of them are
Academy,
here with me.
que algunos están aquí que querían aprender a pintar, querían saber cómo hacerlo.
Those were the really dark years for realist painting.
Fueron
And
unos años difíciles
to
para la
see
pintura
what-
realista, unos años negros.
to see how much it's changed is pretty incredible.
Y ver cómo ha cambiado todo es increíble.
I have two last thoughts. One
Un par de
first
pensamientos.
is to those of you who are teachers.
A todos los que sois profesores,
Please teach the uncontested truths about what we do.
por favor enseñad la verdad.
Teach the things that are eternal as best that you can, and pass them along.
Pasad el conocimiento.
And to the painters out there, all of you who are struggling to find your way,
A todos los
courage,
que intentáis encontrar vuestro camino, mucho coraje.
courage is the most important element in what we do because
El coraje es lo más importante en lo que hacéis.
that's what it takes. To be yourself, to paint the paintings, to make the sculpture that is meaningful to you is what the world demands of you, and it takes courage to do that because you put yourself on the line.
Ponéis vuestra vida en cada obra que hacéis, todo vuestro esfuerzo y coraje.
And resist the temptation to follow the crowd because that's not following your own heart, and your work will always suffer for that. So congratulations again to the winners.
I didn't get that
Thank you.
last.
Hay algo que tiene un valor que pasa quizá desapercibido ante el efluvio de los aplausos y demás, que es la labor que hace la Fundación y sobre todo José Manuel Infiesta. No voy a descubrir nada, pero creo que lo tengo que decir. Hay muchos artistas, la vida del artista es muy compleja, es difícil, pero aquí se les da una visibilidad y se les da unas posibilidades que no habrá o que no tendrán en otras partes. Lo que está haciendo José Manuel Infiesta con el MEAN y con la Fundación creo que tiene un mérito mayúsculo. Creo que es muy difícil encontrar hoy personas que verdaderamente se dediquen altruistamente y de una forma totalmente apasionada, se ha dicho ya, a la defensa de este arte. Tiene que haber alguien que le dé visibilidad a eso que hacen los demás, porque si no, no se completaría ese ciclo que decimos que lleva la observación y lleva la consideración de una obra de arte. Dicho esto, creo que la mayor emoción que uno puede sentir en este momento es que aquí, en este instante, se encuentran los artistas que dentro de unos años serán los que lleven la voz cantante. Eso se percibe. Porque no quiero hacer discriminar el arte. Unos tienen más nombre, otros tienen menos. Cada uno elige su camino. Hay caminos que tienen más aceptación, menos aceptación. El artista es aquella persona que necesita el arte y que va a vivir siempre para hacer arte, pase lo que pase. Y claro, pues unos tendrán unas cualidades de difusión, otras, pero ya digo, lo que hoy emociona de verdad es que en unos años que quizás no lo veremos o lo veamos pero en 20, 30 años se acordará uno de que aquí había personas que entonces estén en la cima representando a sus diferentes países o a sus diferentes técnicas o a sus diferentes lenguajes, ¿no? Y eso pues yo creo que es una emoción y sobre todo para las personas que hacen posible esta reunión, que son José Manuel Infiesta y el equipo, ¿no? Y con la visibilidad del MEAM, que yo creo que tiene una importancia singular. Ya digo que sin artistas no habría nada de esto, pero con los artistas solo tampoco tendríamos esto. Muchas gracias.
Bueno, para concluir el acto, quiero despedirme simplemente pidiendo a todo el mundo un aplauso para Cara Ross, que nos ha dedicado la gran cosa de que todo el Art Renewal Center Salon, con la importancia que tiene en Estados Unidos, la entrega de premios no la hacen en Nueva York, no la hacen en Los Ángeles, no la hacen en Washington, la hacen en Barcelona, en el MEAM. Muchas gracias. First of all, we will project a video of about 30-35 minutes. We have made a video about 3-4 hours of the deliberation of the jury of Figurativas. Now we will project just the final sessions, where the discussion between the members of the jury about the 20 or 30 light paintings who are being selected. It's interesting because then people of the jury are speaking about which are the reasons to select or to condemn every painting. After this, we will begin the speech. I hope you like it.
We're going to start the artist forum discussion section now. So I will start, the panel will start by talking a little bit to the first question I will ask, and then we really want everyone to join in and start to speak. We request that you keep what you have to say to 2 or 3 minutes to allow for everyone to have the opportunity to talk in the time that we have. Tanaya, what do you think is the most important attribute for an artist to have?
I would just say to know your own path and continually clarify why you got into this, I don't even want to call it a profession, vision for your life to begin with, and it's a constantly renewing journey, and I would say that that's the most important thing.
The process of selection, as you saw from the video, is a tough one, and it requires a certain respect, not only for the other jurors, because we all have our opinions and we're all right, you know, which makes it difficult to come to some sort of consensus. And that's the beauty of the process, that we try to respect the work and we try to respect each other. For those of you who haven't had that experience, it's a real process. To address your question, I think, as you very well pointed out, that it's a big question, and I've been asked through the years by students, you know, what do I work on? How do I become an artist? What are the requirements? And I thought about it a long time, and I realized that there was no quick answer for that, because they were looking for a technical solution, or, you know, if I really get good at drawing, I'll be a great artist. But after thinking about it for quite a while, I realized that there's no such thing as a great artist without a great person behind it. So, and there is no formula for that. It's becoming the best that you can become of who you are, and everyone's going to be different. So that's the hard work, you know, for all of us, whether we're artists or not, and to have the courage to do that, as I was saying earlier, yesterday. It really takes courage, and that's why we have to support each other as artists.
Well, I certainly agree with Tanaya and Dan. And I'd also like to say, I know this isn't completely possible, but I think it's very important to be able to objectively try to view one's own work and to not become too emotionally attached to what you have there, so you can go in and rework it. And, you know, it's hard, I know, when you spend a lot of time working on a specific part, but maybe, you know, after you start moving on, you realize, oh wait, no, this needs to be fixed. And sometimes it can be hard to say, oh no, you know what, I need to, take this part out and almost start over to rework it and make it, better. And also to be able to listen to other people, not that you should always agree with them or that you should change what you're doing, but just to be able to listen, to hear how other people are reacting to your work and how they are perceiving it, to try to look at your own work and see, can I see what this person is saying about this, yes or no? Not that you have to agree with it, but just to be open and to objectively be able to look at what you're doing, I think is important. Jose, do you want to say anything? Or
I don't agree with Daniel. I believe that to be artist, you don't need to be a good people. You can be bad people, and to be artist also.
No, not good people.
I think an artist cannot choose. He is artist, and he cannot choose another way of life. Sometimes he wants to be another thing, but he cannot. And then I think an artist, the better is that he must be happy with what he is doing. And if he is happy, he makes a good work. But he can be happy being a bad people. It's also okay to be a bad people. The same as I feel that the painting don't need to paint the beauty. It can paint things that are not beautiful. I think this is an old concept, and I think the contemporary world speaks a lot about bad people, things we are not beautiful, and this is art also.
I think I can agree with most of what you said. The definition of a great person is it's a longer discussion. And becoming a great person, for example, Caravaggio murdered people, but he was a great person because he was in touch with who he was, and he was able to express that.
See, you can speak about if in your painting you think these are good people or bad people. People who are in the painting.
I never thought of that before. Right. I never broke it down or thought about that aspect of it. It's more, the piece is, for me, is totally about what it does to the viewer when they first look at it, that instantaneous, what happens to them. So that people are just a tool for me to address something else.
We all came to the realist art movement for different reasons. I would like to hear a little bit from the panel and from the audience as to what motivated you to become involved with the movement.
It's a hard question to answer again, but just because I can only speak to what drew me into wanting to draw and paint, and some of it was just instinctual, and it's how I learned to communicate. It's how I was inspired to follow the path that I wanted to pursue, and so, but finding when I was in high school, I didn't even really realize that there was all of this still brewing. It kind of seemed like something of the past. And gradually I found that there were like-minded folks in that regard, and a renaissance of technique, so to speak. And so on that level, learning technique is so important because it enables you to express your personal vision, right? And so I still think your personal vision is the most important thing, but we all need to learn those vehicles.
Wow, another big question. I think Martha Graham was asked after her performance, she's a dancer. Martha Graham's a dancer, and she was asked after she had performed to explain, to this reporter
De explicar a este reportero
her dance. And she said, if I could explain it in words, I wouldn't have danced it. And I think
que explique su danza y ella le contestó que si podría explicarlo en palabras no bailaría.
our common language is the visual world, and that's how we express our most intimate and most meaningful ideas. Yeah, I think that's our common ground. That's where we communicate. When you bring a group of artists together, we have this commonality, even though we don't talk about it. I think most of us have this desire to make something from something that what doesn't exist, that it's an impulse. So we're constantly changing things. The act of creation is the same act as destruction. So we start off with a beautiful, clear canvas and all these beautiful colors, and then we mix them all together and we ruin the canvas and we ruin the paint.
Empezamos con un lienzo.
It's a different way of looking at it. I think that impulse was in me from a very young boy, and thank God it was directed into something positive, because otherwise I'd probably not be here. I'd be in jail somewhere.
I do feel like I was born to, be a part of this movement and to do what I can to, bring communication through the visual arts back to our society. So I'm very grateful for that.
Que el problema de muchos artistas es que no están en el mercado porque el mercado les obliga a hacer un tipo de arte, abstracción o descomposición de la forma que ellos no quieren. Pero eso no quiere decir que haya que hacer realismo. We speak about realism and figurativism as a way to understand us, but I think we do not say this is the only way. The only way is what everyone seems he can make. And it would be interesting if I am not painter, then I speak, but I am not painter, I am an architect. And then I feel that any one of you, if you can explain, if really if you make only realism, it's a dogmatism. And I think we don't need to be dogmatic. They are dogmatic, who are saying the market must be this and this and this. You are looking for new ways, new expression, but really respecting the history, the tradition, the sensibility, and the concept of geniality. Is the concepts who in the 20th century have been denied. I mean, quiero decir que realmente me gustaría que algunos de los que estáis aquí realmente explicarais si estáis de acuerdo en que lo importante no es pintar en forma realista, sino lo que uno siente al margen de lo que le dicta el mercado, la moda, el crítico de arte, etcétera, etcétera.
I don't think none of us, nobody believes that you should only have to paint a certain way. Everyone should do what they feel they need to do, whether it's abstract or not abstract. Nobody's saying that, people shouldn't be allowed to paint however they want and people are allowed to like whatever they want. I think what ties us all together, though, is the wish to communicate visually, because it's a visual language, and you can't really express complex thoughts and ideas that are universal, that people can understand, whether or not they've had education. I feel like to understand an abstract painting and to understand where the artist is coming from, you need to have a lot of education in that ideology, to look at something and be like, oh, I know that this is trying to express the artist inner turmoil, or whatever you want to say about it. But when you paint figurative works, works that people can understand, that is a recognizable item to anyone who has vision, no matter where you come from, what country, what language you speak. It's universal. So it's one of the rare things that we have as a human species that allows us to communicate with everybody, because we can all recognize, a grieving mother over the loss of a child. you know, if that's depicted, or we can all recognize war or love or music or any of the paintings, you know, that are in this museum. We can all look at and gain some kind of understanding of the artist and of the world around us, and that's what art's meant to do. It's meant to visually communicate. If you need words to understand it, it's not serving its purpose as visual art.
It's not a dogmatic position, it's a intuitive position. That's why I like figurative, I like realism, but not by dogmatism, but because it's what I like, it's what my heart like, it's what I feel. I am happy when I am in a museum like this one, or like a lot of museums. I see art, and I go to the Tapias Foundation, and I don't see art, I see anything.
So in the first year, then I decided to switch sides to video and new media, because I was like, well, I can teach myself how to paint, you know, because they were lacking the knowledge how to paint, even though we were drawing from models. So, but then when I went to exchange to Bologna, I met the painters, you know. Then I was like, whoa, okay. And then I learned about ARC, and I started, you know, searching for Bouguereau, and I found the Angel Academy in Florence, and your academy, it's amazing. And so that's my path.
Thank you so much.
I love to paint and draw, and Catherine's known as painting stuff that looks like stuff. And that's really what I love to do. And out of high school, I thought, well, I would love to pursue art and study art, but there literally was nothing. I was near Montreal, and you could study art, but it wasn't anything that I could relate to. So I chose a different path, and it involved a lot of music, and my whole life I didn't practice art, but it was always close to me. And in 2009, my daughter was taking an art class in high school, and she inspired me to take it up again. And what do? We get on the internet, Brave New World. And lo and behold, all of this is out there for us to discover. And that was so inspiring. It's like, well, there it is. And I was able to, you know, just start. I'm sorry, I'm a bit nervous talking about this, but, you know, 7-8 years later, here I am with a piece of work in this exhibition. So it's like the dream, but much later. And it was really, without all of this, I don't know where I would have started. I didn't even know what kind of paper to use. So thank you so much for making this happen.
Absolutely, you're very welcome.
I think I go back to what Kara said the other night about how 20 years ago it was almost non-existent, or was underground. And I think the aspect of what ARC and meme are doing is that it's giving us a community, and we're sort of under siege, and we're finding all the rest of us that are around in hiding coming out. Mm-hmm. And I also see it as the realist painting is, as in all expressive arts, it's a language. Mm-hmm. And we see people defending languages that are dying around the world, literal languages. And I think realist painting is being suppressed as a language, and it needs to be preserved, because it talks to all of us, as long as we haven't been indoctrinated, like not to like it. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for what you guys do.
The first expression that children make is realistic, telling about their world. And we must protect that expression of children growing up, and we're losing that in the public school system in the U.S. The last art class that most children have is 6th grade, and it becomes an elective in high school. So my life is, I'm 66 now, and it's taken me this long to sort out, because we get pulled in all different directions as artists. And I will go back to something Daniel said about being a good person, is eventually you find that person. And you get pulled by marketing, you get pulled by telling how to brand your work and what you should be doing to be a success. and none of it matters. And it all comes back to what you want to say and telling about your world. Entonces, te voy a decir en español que mi historia es muy larga, que a la edad de 10 años estuve en una clase de pintura de óleo, y tenemos que proteger la enseñanza de los menores, que tenemos que tener la clase de arte en la escuela, y es muy importante tener nuestra voz, que los estudiantes, los menores, encuentran el mundo real en su arte, y seguimos haciendo eso según el mercado, según todas las fuerzas que nos tiran de una dirección a otra, y encontrar nuestra voz.
Thank you.
Me gustaría dar agradecimiento para todos de ofrecer esta oportunidad de comunicarnos. Gracias.
Thank you. Does anyone else have any thoughts that they would like to say about art in general that they have?
Estos espacios creo que nos benefician a todos, porque también es una plataforma para esos jóvenes estudiantes, ¿no?, que pueden encontrar referentes tangibles, es decir, ¿qué se está haciendo ahora? Los grandes maestros los conocemos, las tradiciones las conocemos, técnicamente podemos ser mejor o peor, pero creo que ese posicionamiento y ese ejemplo de lo que en la actualidad se está haciendo, este museo y estas acciones son muy positivas.
Tanaya, what is your scariest experience as an artist?
You know, we have to grapple with a lot of almost contradictory impulses in a sense as artists. And so this, you know, they say you got to develop a thick skin, right? But how can you feel with thick skin? So how do you manage dealing, you know, with following your path, but there's all this criticism, and navigating through that can be really very challenging.
Scary experiences, I guess they come sort of every day. Every day you go to the studio and you try and do something that you are trying to do, and you know you're failing, and you know you pick yourself up the next day and do it again until you hopefully get something right. And you feel very much alone doing this. It also comes down to knowing when you're actually not putting yourself into the work and you're just doing it because you know that it's going to sell, or you know somebody wants you to paint in a particular way. And that knowledge, even though you may not confront it every day, is the scariest thing that I've ever faced in my life. And I can't imagine anything else, because what you're saying is your uniqueness is worthwhile. It's also scary, probably your first exhibition, when you put your work up on the wall and you know all your friends and colleagues especially, are going to come in and look at what you've done, and you know they're looking straight through you, because everything you know and everything you don't know is right there on the wall, and they know it and you know it, and you're as naked as you'll ever be in your entire life, because you're mentally and emotionally naked. Physically is nothing, but when somebody sees into your soul and they see what's really there, you have to confront its validity. That's why I was saying you have to be a great person. That's why I was saying you have to be so courageous, because you're confronting your own understanding of your own validity, and no one can give that to you. It's something that you give yourself.
I'd like to open it up. Does any of the artists out here have a scary experience as an artist they would like to share?
There's a moment when you feel empty and you think you may never ever have the creative urge again, or you may never find the new idea. If you've got the idea, you can usually battle your way through and find a result, but there's moments when you wake up and you think, this is it. That's scary. Yeah.
I'm wondering if the panel or anyone in the audience has particular things that they do or that helps them find that inspiration, or how they can kind of get through that equivalent of a writer's block, if they have specific things that they do.
Tying this back into the earlier discussion about does painting need to have beauty? Beauty exists in many forms, and there's beauty in sadness, for example, and in melancholy, and those are one of the ways that we can still find ourselves even when we're having a tough time. Is to widen the lens of our inspiration, so to speak, and be okay with those struggling times and let that through, and so that the show can move on, so to speak.
Good point. I think actually widening your lens and finding inspiration, things you don't normally find inspiration in, is just one of the ways out. Personally, I like to recharge the batteries. That's what I talk about at school. Students work, and they have nothing left to give. So recharge the batteries, I think, is the secret for me. Get out of the studio, go for a walk in the countryside, look at nature, go to the museum. Anything that's not you producing, but you receiving, is the solution for a moment of, like, what do I do next? Because in that calm, you return to your inner voice, your inner soul.
One of my good friends and my partner for the Da Vinci Initiative, Mandy Helenis, she's an artist, and she told me that one thing that she does is every morning when she wakes up, she forces herself to sit in front of her easel for 20 minutes. She says she doesn't force herself, she doesn't have to paint or draw anything if she doesn't want to, but she has to sit there. And she says the act of doing that makes her want to draw or put something on the canvas, because you're just going to sit there and waste 20 minutes, or you can at least attempt something, So that's something I thought that was interesting, that works for her. Does anyone else have anything they do that helps motivate them or helps them find inspiration that they would like to share?
I just think walking is the most amazing thing you can do, because it's a physical act that requires no thought. So you can just walk, and things come, things go, thoughts come, thoughts go, but generally you have a steady pace that allows things that are bubbling under the surface to kind of come up and express themselves. It's really simple.
It's like kind of clearing stuff out for myself in front of me on the paper, and then I started seeing some patterns, and in a way I had a clear picture of, okay, what's happening now. So to have this clarity and to not, in a way push yourself, you need to also take care of yourself and just hug yourself and be loving to yourself. Because in a way, when you're producing a lot, you're like a workhorse. You also need to have a good rest and just enjoyment to stay healthy here and also physically. So that's what I do.
Thank you.
I think, just at the risk of reiterating what everyone else has said, the essence is to trust yourself. Very difficult at that time, but what I find most useful is to actually go back into drawing, just to start drawing, because it's the line that leads me to where I need to go, and it's only with allowing that disconnection probably from the questions where I can find subconsciously what I need. if I try and work through it consciously, it's blocked, but the drawing, actual drawing is the magic.
Actually, when I'm alone in the studio, I feel like awesome. It's away from all the chaos and distractions and everything. It's just some peace.
Awesome.
You know, so, but on a bigger question, just loneliness is a terrifying prospect, you know, that you just find yourself in obscurity in any shape or form. And, you know, that's one of the ways that we try and extend our own personas through our work to go beyond ourselves, and that's our portal.
And I'd like to thank Jose for hosting us here and you know, helping to, you know, organize all of this. It's amazing. He has a beautiful museum here, and it's just incredible that we can house our competitions and exhibitions together under one roof like this.
Que me da las gracias a mí por haber puesto la casa. Thank you to you all. Thank you, Cara, Daniel, all you. And I hope you will enjoy Barcelona this weekend. If you want to come back, museum MAM is open from 10 o'clock in the morning till 8 o'clock in the evening, Saturday and Sunday. If you want to come to make a walk, this is your house. And enjoy Barcelona, one of the best towns in the world, open for you. Thank you.
Thank you.